Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new SkillCapped guide. I'm Carnage and today I will be guiding you along the journey that is ranking up. We're going to go over almost every single rank in Valorant and show you exactly what you should be working on in order to escape that rank and move on. Keep in mind that no matter what rank you are in, you still may find some other tips useful, so stick around and let me know which tips were most useful to you. Without any further ado, let's start out by talking about the Iron rank. Iron is a very interesting rank because it includes so many different types of players. If you are in Iron, then you are probably making some of these common mistakes. For instance, one that I'm constantly talking about, crosshair placement. At an Iron level, headshots aren't nearly as important as they are in the higher ranks. Knowing that, try to focus on holding your crosshair around chest level on any player you see. This will allow you to hopefully begin shooting first and will let you easily land shots on them without having to do anything major. One other crucial part of getting out of Iron though is understanding recoil. I'm sure many of you come from different games that probably have different recoil systems, so learning Valorant's recoil is going to be very important. To do this, I would recommend going into the training ground and shooting this target. Remember, your bullets are going to go above your crosshair as you continue to spray. Keep this in mind as you learn to control your spray a little better. Now let's say you've moved out of Iron and you are into Bronze. This means you probably understand some of the basic mechanics of the game and should start focusing more on fine-tuning some things. For instance, one of the main things I recommend for Bronze players is to learn one specific agent so that you can start to contribute to your team with utility a lot more. There isn't necessarily a good agent you should choose, so just go ahead and try some out and figure out who you want to hone in on. Now that you have a main agent, you should try to watch some guides specific to them so that you can learn some small tips that will help you move up in the ranks. At this rank, another big factor is understanding what angles players could peek you from. For instance, when you clear Haven's C site, you should be looking in certain places as you push up. Most players just focus on one certain spot or forget to check certain areas on the site. A lot of this will come with experience, but you can also hone in your skills by hopping into a custom game and practice the angles that you are going to watch. This should give you an edge over the opponent, and you can even do the same thing on defense. Learn where the enemies can come from and focus on holding that. Most of the time in Bronze, fights are won or lost based on where you were watching, so try and learn this skill quickly. Next is Silver, and if you can get to Silver, you should be able to push your way all the way to Plat pretty easily if you can pinpoint what you're doing well and what you're doing wrong. After watching a lot of Silver gameplay, I've noticed a couple of key mistakes these players constantly make. One of the main ones is their aggressive playstyle. Let me explain exactly what this means. You will often see Silver players run through areas right when the round starts and immediately commit to a certain area of the map or just straight up rush somewhere. This can obviously be a good strat, but doing it every round is going to keep you stuck in Silver. Instead of rushing in, stay back and wait. This goes for attack and defense side. Another tip that I can offer anyone within the Silver level of play is to start paying attention to your map and the enemy's positions. There are a lot of reasons for this, but we're going to focus specifically on rotations. Constantly, I'll see players stay on B site even after their teammates have seen 4 of the enemies on A. Learning when to rotate over to the other site or to mid even is crucial to helping your team win these games. I have found that legitimately just thinking more while I play helped me whenever I was in these lower ranks. Try to think as if you were the other team. What would you do? Okay, now on to Gold. I have a ton of friends that I play with that are in this rank, and honestly, most of them could get out if they would just work more on crosshair placement. I know I already talked about it earlier in this guide and I gave the advice to aim towards the chest. Well, this changes as you move up in these ranks. If you're in Gold, you obviously have a pretty good grasp of the game, and your opponents are starting to get better. You may even end up in games with Platinum and Diamond level players. Well, these players are going to be able to kill you quickly, so you need to start focusing on putting your crosshair at head level so that you can instantly hit those headshots. This is probably the most common tip that's talked about in Valorant guides, but there is a reason that it is such a popular tip, because it's actually one of the easiest ways to get better. Other than crosshair placement, another major thing to start working on at this rank is to get really good with your utility and learn the absolute best ways to use it. I would personally recommend finding a professional player that plays your agent and watching their VODs whenever you get the chance. Analyze what abilities they're using, where they're using them, and why they're using them. This will give you some valuable info on your abilities and will hopefully help you really take that agent to the next level. And you might be thinking that these tips seem like such small details that don't matter, but trust me, these small things just get more and more important as you move through the ranks. So, as we move up the ranks, we hit one of the higher ranks, and that is Platinum. This is where the game starts to get really sweaty, and you have to be much more focused in order to succeed at this level. Assuming you have done most of the other tips I have given, there is one main thing that you need to master if you want to succeed at this rank. You may not like it, but helping and trusting your teammates is going to be essential at this rank if you want to move up to Diamond. For instance, baiting is a huge issue at this rank. Many players are overconfident in their skill and end up baiting teammates in the hope that they will get just an extra kill that round. You don't want to set your teammates up for failure, so playing together is key. Pushing areas as a group of 2 instead of 1 is a super simple and effective way to start. When 2 people push somewhere together, they have a very high chance of trading the kill if one of them does end up dying. This is such a simple way to take the advantage away from the enemy team, and all it takes is some coordination with your team. And speaking of coordination with your team, the timing of executes is another huge issue in this rank. Constantly, I see players mistime their executes and lose the round because of it. One great example of this is Haven's C site. Let's assume you have your flank covered by tripwires, etc., and you want all 5 of your teammates to go C. Well, you decide that you want to get garage control before you take site, so 3 players go garage and 2 go long. This is a very common setup to play. The garage players take garage, push onto site, but then they die to a player that has just been chilling on site the entire time. Well, this could have been prevented if the long players push up together with the garage players. But more often than not, the timing is off. This can be blamed on all of the players. The long players should have pushed earlier, but the garage players also should have waited for them. Well, instead of trying to figure out whose fault it is, the more constructive way to go about it is to go ahead and communicate with your team what is happening and how you plan to play based off of that. This can be difficult to do while solo queuing, so I always recommend finding some teammates that have similar goals as you to rank up. Even if you can't find teammates, still do your best to establish these communications with your teammates early. Now onto Diamond. If you've made it all the way to Diamond, you are just a few steps away from the infamous Radiant rank. Well, let me help you out with some tips to get you one step closer. Again, I'm assuming if you have gotten to Diamond, you've already worked on your crosshair placement, agent knowledge, and most of the other common basic things, so let's talk about something a little more advanced. This more advanced topic is going to be adapting to the enemies. Put simply, if you can adapt to the opponent's playstyle and counter it, you will automatically put yourself at a huge advantage. This is obviously easier said than done, so let me explain a little more. One of the best examples of this is when a team plays super aggressive on defense. It seems to be a pretty common tactic for players to use, so let's use it as an example. Well, let's say the enemy team plays super aggressive on defense and likes to get map control early. Well, you want to set up in a default and be ready for that push from them. This is an oversimplified example of adapting to your opponents, but use that brain of yours to think about what the enemies are doing and how you can adapt and counter it mid-round. Learning how to adapt to all sorts of playstyles will help tremendously as you climb through Diamond, and it really comes with experience and conscious thinking. You have to become comfortable doing uncomfortable things because that could be the only way to win the game. Now, as we move on to the final rank group, this one is honestly really tough. Hitting Radiant is a challenge that barely any players will accomplish in their time playing the game, so you have to be the best of the best to reach this goal. If you are an Immortal, you obviously have been practicing your aim, working on strats, and you maybe even have a team that you grind with. Well, at this point there are 2 things that I highly recommend if you want to make that final push out. The first one is to record your games and review your gameplay. Specifically, review parts where you die, and go over how you could have survived or how you could have played the situation better. Doing this will help you play a little smarter, even if it is just by 1% every time. And the last thing that I recommend is finding yourself a team. If you're an Immortal and making that push to Radiant, you are obviously pretty serious about Valorant, and you can easily find other players that are equally as serious about it as you. Even if you just add players that you play with while solo queuing, finding a set team to play with and practice with makes this push so much easier. It will also help keep you more focused and motivated because you want everyone to succeed. Well, that ends this SkillCapped guide. We went over every single rank and how to get out of each one. If you did enjoy this video, then let me know which tip helped you the most in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, drop a like and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with the most high quality premium Valorant guides on YouTube. Thank you again for watching. This has been Carnage, and good luck, good half, and good game.